you see that there was definitely a fairly precise classification of the beings who live in these various worlds. And again, when you talk Viharti, it's a very interesting term because you are talking about primarily a word, an expression. And a Viharti is also a loka. And if you look at the Greek, you are talking of loka, the analogous word is logos. And logos also has that meaning of being primarily the word, but it's also the spirit behind the word, because the word, the expression, the actual mantra, is a manifestation of the underlying non-material, spiritual fact, as it were. And therefore, loka, logos, viharti, is both a state of being, and it's also expressed as a word. And as we know, if there is no word, there is nothing. In a sense, things come into being when they are named, namarupa. So that tells us that there is a much deeper truth behind the existence, behind the description of the vihartis and of the lokas, the patalas. And it's, again, a very universal myth, since it's called that way, that at some point there was a great fight between different beings, the Devas and the Asuras were somehow pushed out and they were sent down under the earth where they still live. And that is where you see now the present dwellings of, among others, the Daityas and the Danavas. The Danavas, by the way, were very well known to the Greeks. So were the Daityas. They called them the Titans. And the Danavas were the Danaos. And even today, I mean, not today, but in ancient Greece, the Greeks called themselves Danaos. Timeo Danaos et dona ferentes is a well-known Latin adage, which means I fear the Greeks and those who bear gifts. And as a matter of fact, the connection of the Danaos with the Danavas is historically fairly clear. So are, for example, the Danites, the tribe of Danaan among the Hebrews. It's one of the 12 tribes, which had come from the sea and were probably the so-called Danavas. Now, the interesting thing is, therefore, and this is my conclusion, that you are talking about a hierarchy of beings, which even the Judeo-Christian cosmogony acknowledges, because it talks about the hierarchy of what it calls angels and the so-called princes. And so you can see that universal acceptance of the fact that there were certain beings that did not abide by certain rules, certain spiritual principles, and were pushed down into the lower earth, whereas those who essentially rejected them are still up and above us in all the heavens which stand between the earth and the outer universe.